All right, welcome back to another edition of Working Fans Podcast, daily content. We're going to be talking wrestling Monday through Friday. And today, as you saw yesterday's show, we talked about the Crockett Cup, what we thought some of the reveals might be, or more or less what we'd like to see. We're going to talk, they revealed it yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about that and some thoughts I have on it, and probably just a few other wrestling items that kind of caught my eye and some stuff I'm interested in. But first, let's go to this video. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast. And like I said in the beginning, right before that video, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Crockett Cup today. They did reveal it yesterday. I got to say, I had mixed feelings about this because I think I built it up in my head. Like I was hoping we'd hear about FTR. I was hoping we'd hear, just some crazy names. But that being said, they went with a lot of main NWA teams. You still have the Briscoes in there, which I'm excited about. And there's a couple other things I'm excited about too. But I did like the way they do it with Pat Kenny and Billy Corgan sitting around talking about the different teams. I am excited about this Crockett Cup. And there are a couple teams we don't know about yet. There's going to be a matchup. I think they're called like a play-in where maybe like 4 teams are going to compete. And the winner of that will go on and get one of the last seeds. And then we have another seed yet to be named. And actually, they just announced on their Instagram that Violence is Forever. Kevin Koo and Don McCarini, former guest of the show, are one of the teams competing in that match to get a spot in the Crockett Cup. Yes, Randy Osga here in the comments. I wonder who will be taking on the Briscoes. Well, actually, yeah, we don't know that yet. That's going to be up in the air. What I'm interested about, Randy, is too, who is Doug Williams' partner going to be? Doug Williams was supposed to be in there with Nick Aldis from the British Invasion. And obviously, Nick Aldis is now wrestling Cardona for the NWA heavyweight title. So we got Doug Williams still in here, the British Invasion. So I was thinking about this, and maybe I'm just playing off the fact that, he's European so much, but I'd like to see it be like Harry Smith. I think, Davey Boy Smith Jr., that would be an interesting partner. And, we haven't seen him since he left WWE. Not that he ever got to compete there, but I mean, with his power, I think Harry Smith and Doug Williams would be great in this tournament. But we'll see. I'm still hoping beyond hopes that FTR makes it in his tournament, because to me, in a perfect world, FTR was just made for a tournament like the Crockett Cup. Randy, who else is British they could get? It's funny, I was talking to AJ about it, and AJ was actually wondering about if we were going to see Marty Scurll come back at some point. I don't know. No one's really been able to touch Marty lately, but he was saying, maybe Harry, not Harry, Marty might make it into the House of Black, because look, they've been hinting at that lately too. Like the House of Black could be, adding a new member. So yeah, while we're on it too, the House of Black, that was something else that caught my interest, because I've been listening to people on social media, a lot of people are wondering if Buddy Murphy's going to come in and join Malachi Black and Brody King. Maybe Pentagon, the whole Pentagon Dark thing is actually going to join the group. And maybe it's a swerve, or maybe a guy like Bray Wyatt could be in there. I don't think Bray would play. I think he would be the leader, honestly. So I don't think he would join. But, I think you're looking at somebody like that for the House of Black. But the House of Black, now see, let's tie these in for a minute. Now, there is something interesting, right? We still have 2 seeds left, and Brody King and Malachi Black, they work in PWG. How excited would they be if they were one of those teams in the Crockett Cup? Maybe you can see them going. I'd love to see them versus the Briscoes. All right, just playing a little fantasy book in here. Malachi Black, Brody King versus the Briscoes. Take my money. I'm into it. But we'll see more tonight with the NWA. I know Matt Cardona is the NWA heavyweight champion, but I haven't seen it announced under weekly TV series yet, so I'm kind of waiting to see that. I'm very excited about Cardona versus Aldis. To me, Aldis, I think I said this before, but he just represents what the modern era NWA is. And Cardona is just like the hottest indie guy right now. Just to cut one other thing I want to talk about too. Me and AJ, other guy on the show here, AJ Strange Brew, for those who never watched or listened to the podcast, we were talking this morning, and we're wondering, it's interesting because WrestleMania, we have right now scheduled Brock versus Roman, title versus title. And, they're kind of hinting that we might be doing a tag title versus tag title match. Like whoever wins this 3-way coming up with Rollins, Owens versus Riddle, Orton, and Gable and Otis might go on to wrestle the Usos at a tag title. So, and then Damian Priest is looking for a big opponent. And I thought, wouldn't that be interesting if they did Priest versus Sammy in a unification match? And I'm all for it. I don't know if they're going to do something like that, but I would like to see the titles get condensed up a little bit, and maybe down the road, whoever wins Ronda versus Charlotte versus whoever wins Belair versus Becky. Maybe we do that in another pay-per-view. But I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see us condense some of those titles. Randy says it's going to be Edge versus AJ Styles. I agree with that. AJ Styles actually did an interview with MMA journalist Ari Harwani about a month ago. And AJ Styles did say one of his dream opponents left to do. He hasn't had a match with, is Edge. Edge obviously said last night that he wants a WrestleMania moment, and he's looking for somebody who's phenomenal, who's more phenomenal than phenomenal AJ Styles. I think WrestleMania is starting to shape up a little bit. We will have to see what happens with Brock Lesnar in the Garden against Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley looks to be legitimately injured, so we'll see what happens and if WWE has a big surprise. But I don't know. I think we're getting Brock versus Roman for title versus title still. And, will Steve Austin be back and take on Kevin Owens? That's what I've been wondering for a while. But at the same time, they're throwing Kevin and Seth in this tag title thing. And I could see Seth and Kevin winning this. I mean, what's Seth going to do at Mania? And speaking of Seth, here's Randy. Randy has a question again. Does Cody wrestle at WrestleMania? Right now, I'm not so sure. But Seth Rollins, that would be an interesting opponent, right? So if Kevin Owens was taking on Steve Austin and we needed something for Seth Rollins, maybe we got something there, I got to think Seth will have a big moment at Mania. They've protected him very well. He's the only guy that has got any kind of win over Roman, even though it's by disqualification in that match at the Rumble. So we'll see what happens, whether Seth finds his way in some kind of triple threat tag or weasels his way in this world title match, or if he has a match with Cody. But I got to believe Seth Rollins will be a bigger part of Mania somewhere. And that's pretty much all I want to talk about today. We might be back a little later tonight with the MMA podcast with Chevy. He's running a little late at work. So if we are back tonight, it'll be around 6 o'clock. If not, Thursday, we'll be on between 6 and 6:30. But we're going to talk about the big fight this weekend, Bobby Green versus Islam Makhachev. And Bobby Green taking this fight on short notice. And for those who follow MMA, this is pretty exciting to me because Bobby Green is one of those guys, always exciting. Obviously, he's in that murderous lightweight division where everybody's just a killer, and you never know. But I don't know. I'd like to see Bobby pull off an upset. It would be an upset, though, if he can beat Makhachev. But, yeah, we might be on later with that. One last question from Randy here. Do you think Brandy will be Cody's manager? No, I don't. I think Brandy's not going to be part of the package right now. Don't really have any inside track, just a gut feeling. I just don't think she will be there. Maybe down the road. I'm interested to see if we'll see Cody's reality series and the Go Big show and all that stuff come over. But, yeah, interesting times ahead in the wrestling business. So we'll see. We'll be back tomorrow at some point with more daily content, talking about pro wrestling, whatever else we feel like talking about. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.